Hey, don't talk about me. I'm a little raggedy right now, but it is what it is. But anyway, I just got on here to quickly say that it is, when you like really changing like the person who you are, for the better, it's just that you change yourself to better yourself. Nobody changes themselves for to be worse than what they was. They always change themselves to be better than what they was, unless you got a severe mental issue. That's the only way you change your self to be worse than what you were. But it is two things that I found that was really hard is like one is when somebody tell you about yourself, that was it's basically I don't want to say negative, but it a lady shedded some light on me at work last night, and I was talking to her about an issue that I was having, and she was just listening to me intently, and she said, you use the fact that that I use the phrase that people should be glad that God delivered me because because I didn't play a lot of stuff. I didn't like a lot of people playing in my face. So, she was just listening to me intently, and she just listened to me and listened to me. And she told me after I got done, she said, "You know what?" She said, "You really need to humble yourself." Long story short, I was telling her about a situation that I got to no fault of my own. I had to get pushed back in a situation I'm not gonna talk about right now, but it's a situation, and it's gonna take me a little longer to proceed. And it was no fault of my own. It was somebody else's fault, and it kind of made me mad because I feel like that they really honestly played in my face, and I was so angry about it, and I didn't realize how angry I was, and how much it showed. And she just looked at me and she was like, you really need to humble yourself. She said, maybe God is holding you back from things because he needs to fix what's inside of you. Now, these are things that I know, but it's easy for me to tell other people, these things. But when you hear them about yourself and you feel like, that you kind of passed that test and really realized that you didn't, it's kind of, it was kind of hard to hear that. But I really appreciate hearing that because now I know that I have to work on that area, because it's, the hardest thing for me to do, for you to do, and people don't realize that it's easy to somebody play in your face, and it's easy to do that. It's so easy and it come naturally. It's like, whoa, but the hardest thing to do is to humble yourself. Humble yourself and sometimes not say a word. That is like literally that takes my whole strength to do. I can't do that I have to be the first to admit it. I can't do that in my own strength at all because I'll be ready to go. One time I had a job, cause I had a job and the manager made me so mad that I fought him and all the rest of the managers, and I got arrested, and I didn't care. I was proud of that moment. I waited my whole life for that moment. I beat up the whole store, and it's, and I didn't get nothing out of that, but went to jail, and thank God that they didn't press charges. God had me even in my ignorance. God had me. They tried to make him press charges, but they was too scared to press charges. So, and thank God for that. That's not a braggadocious moment. It's just that I thank God for it, because right now that right there could have held me up, and I actually could have done some real live jail time, because not only did I fight all of them, I tore up the whole store. You know, that's just how my anger ran. And, you know, and I have to admit that some things you just have to admit, you know, so that God can help you through them, you know, and to help you out of them. And, you know, at this time in my life, you know, I don't need, you know, to be in trouble with the law. I do need to be humble. I do need to, you know, when I encounter, you know, people or whatever, I do need to humble myself, because it's some people that, you know, they don't care either. You know, they don't, you know, they gonna fight either. And I'm not getting younger, I'm getting older, you know, and there's a lot of younger people that's coming up that, you know, they just tough and probably more ruthless and everything, you know, than ever. As we can see, these people are like not all there now, you know. I don't know what's going on, but I just thank God for that, you know, because even though, you know, I have come a long way, you know, I am yet, you know, growing, and I am yet learning, and I have yet to, and I may never be done learning. We all may never be done learning and getting ourselves together, especially us that, you know, had a rough time growing up and stuff, because I had vowed, you know, once I came into myself, and once I decided not to let anybody else take advantage of me in any type of way, shape, or form, you know, that's hard for me to, you know, be like, okay, I gotta let this person slide with that. I gotta let that person slide with this, you know. But it's like, you know, who am I? You know, God said that he will revenge you. You know, he said, vengeance is mine. I will repay, not you. The best thing you can do is let people think that they have won, because God is the one that God said that we are more than conquerors. That means that we are already won. It's like we're in a fixed fight. We've already won. So if we're more than conquerors, when people come against you, they really coming against God. And when they come against God, they're never gonna win. So your winning is being humble and not saying a word and just going with the flow. And another thing she told me, and I just really thank this lady for this. She said everything is in divine order. Everything is in divine order. She said it may not been for you at that time, even though you thought it was. It may not been for you at that time to do what you need to do. You have to humble yourself and wait on God so that it could be perfect. And that's one thing that I want to do. I want to be perfected in God. I will never be perfect. We are humans. We'll never be perfect. We'll never do things right. We're going to always be asking God to forgive us for certain things. And, you know, I repent daily, because I think wrong thoughts sometimes. Like I said, I really wanted to kind of like go upside this lady's head, you know, and I don't like being like that. But as I was thinking all of these thoughts, and I was just, that's why I look like this. Don't talk about me. I am so raggedy. But I was just running to the store actually, and I was coming in, and I still got, even though the lady had told me, you know, said all these things to me, I still was a little bit upset. And I was like, yeah, but man, they played in my face and this, that, and the third. So I'm pulling up. So a lady was, I'm parking in my parking lot, and a lady was coming up to me, a little old lady. She was coming up to me, and she was like, wait. And she had a look on her face that was like, you know, like, you wait, like I did something to her. Now my heart was like, now what have I done? You know? So she said, listen, she said, I have some grocery in my friend's car. She said, and she thought somebody's going to take her parking space, so she won't come next to my door. She said, I got a broken hip and I'm limping. She said, I can't carry them bags. So what I need for you to do is go over there to that car right there and get my grocery out of that car and take the grocery to my door in my building. And so I I said, okay, yes, ma'am. And so she said, okay. I said, okay. And she said, right there in that car, right there. I said, okay. So I got out of my car, locked my door, went in the car, and got her stuff out of there and carried it. And she looked at me. She said, when I dropped her stuff, she said, just sit it right in front of my door. I said, okay. And I set it there. And she says, you know what? You have got a really kind soul. And, you know, that just changed everything. I'm not even, I spent like 3 days like angry. And that right there, her saying that really changed my whole perspective on everything that I was even thinking. Cause I would rather be known as having a kind soul than somebody that, is hostile and ready to go. I would rather be, known as that, and it really blessed my heart and softened my heart, and I appreciated her kind words. And I gave her a hug, and she said, thank you so much for being so kind. And I said, no problem. She said, God is going to really bless you. I said, thank you so much. And I gave her a hug, her and her friend. And they was like, yeah, because they said, and I told them, I said, well, anytime. And I left. And, they were talking and, going on and on. But, I just really appreciate that, because God comes at a good time, and even though that it's a lot of chaos right now, I that really helped me, and I can go on from that. And that's why I always say, I don't like giving people victory or letting people views or thoughts of me or how they feel or what they do. I don't like it when they anger me, because a person that angers you controls you. And I don't like to be controlled by anybody, because I like to be in control, because that's who I am. I like to, be controlled of me. I don't have to control anybody else. I like to be in control of me and how I react and respond to people. But I just thought that I would share that with you guys, because that was really inspiring to me. And hopefully it'll be inspiring to somebody else, because, we can all use that. Bye for now, and you guys have a blessed day.